Hi travelers, you have got me with a bit of time on my hands, so I'm decided I would bring you guys a elemental monthly. And so since this is the time of Leo, first happy birthday Leo sons, and we're going to start with the fire signs. This is a general reading. The messages will not resonate with everyone. That does require a personal reading. Within the personal reading, I meditate on your birth date and your sun sign, and that is how I pinpoint you in the collective, and that can give you a lot more specific information. That being said, I do have a special going on right now. It's going to be ending on, I think, the 9th, so in about 3 days. I actually let it run a little too soon, a little too long, but it is what it is. We're coming out of the eclipse energy, but we're smack dab in the middle of a retrograde, and Mercury has retrograded into the sign of Leo. Leo rules babies, lovers, children, anything having to do with kids. So this could be whether your kid is about to start kindergarten or about to graduate from high school or college, whether or not you want to get pregnant or not, whether you want to adopt grandchildren, foster children, nieces and nephews. So anything that has to do with children and the demographic of someone 20 plus years your junior. It also rules courtship, and sex. So there are lots of things that may be happening for you in those particular areas. And with the Mercury retrograde, just know that the situation is going to go back and forth, but we also have the last of our eclipses, and it is going to be a solar eclipse at 18 Leo. And so eclipses are always times where you don't have all of the information that you're going to need to perhaps make a decision. Doesn't mean you can't make a decision. It just means that if there's a better time for you to make this decision, if you can, you should wait. But if not, you got to do what you got to do. You can always go back and correct it later. So with that being said, again, this is going to be for Aries, Leo, and Sagittarius. A general reading. And just in case you're curious, my turnaround time for readings are between 24 and 72 hours. I don't make people wait. I was talking to somebody the other day, and they were like, oh my God, I tried to get a reading for somebody and they're booked out 3 to 6 months. Now look, that may be that way that person works, and in one respect that says that person's making a lot of money, but what the hell? 3 months down the road, 6 months down the road, and by the time you want a reading, your shit may be completely done with, right? So I don't make people wait. 24 to 72 hours. That's my deal. Okay. So here we go. We're going to lay 9 cards, and we're going to clarify these with La Vida Sibilas. I'm hoping that I'll be able to get through this. I'm waiting on the mechanic. Y'all know it's Mercury retrograde. I'm a Virgo sun, Gemini moon, and my car, the one I just bought, is having problems. So anyway, that's the way it works. And guess what? School starts in 3 weeks. So there's that child aspect that I was talking about, okay? All right, here we go. The World card. Oh, and I'm going to show you these cards. The 7 of Wands and the High Priestess. And this is always interesting whenever she shows up. The Judgment. The 2 of Swords. Well, that's funny. And the 4 of Cups. Now, fire signs. The Sun. Wow. So it's 1, 2, 3, 4 major arcana cards. Here is the 4 of Coins. 2 4s, 2 2s. And look, there's the Wheel of Fortune. Well, okay. Now, what's underneath the deck? And what's underneath the deck is going to give us kind of like the overall energy of the reading. What we have is, dun, 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 the Page of Wands. So, I don't have any court cards in this spread. But I do, as I was saying, I have 4 or 5 major arcanas. I'm going to show you the World And that's, I think, very interesting, along with this Wheel of Fortune. Here is the High Priestess. There is the Judgment. These are all of our major arcanas that I'm showing you first. The Sun. And the Wheel of Fortune. Now, for pip cards, I have 4. The Seven of Wands. And the pip cards are the numbered cards for those of you who are new to tarot. The Two of Swords. The Four of Cups. And the Four of Coins. So what I can definitely say is that no matter what your sign is, and even if you're not a fire sign and you have to be looking at this because you're dealing with somebody that's of a fire sign, what is happening is a major transition and a major change, okay, in life. This is a new cycle that is trying to begin. The World card represents Saturn, and Saturn is the ruler of Capricorn. And so for you, this could be about your career, your position in life, what it is that you are striving for, you're struggling for, and how hard are you willing to work for it and attain that. It could be about your profession. So this could be the idea that maybe for some of you, you may be working in a particular career field and there are changes coming about. And definitely the world speaks to changes. It speaks to something ending and beginning. And we see here with the World card, the Judgment, and the Sun card that some of you, the change came, you got the news, and everything was okay. For others of you, the change is coming. Sometimes this card could be that idea about if you've been waiting on news to come, all right, it will be arriving. I always look at this card like help is on the way. That flag there to me represents the international symbol of the hospital, so that represents aid and assistance and care. This could be about the birth of a baby, about a marriage, about a retirement, becoming an empty nester, becoming a parent or a grandparent. Okay, for the first time, but it definitely speaks to a change of life, okay, a major change. With the Sun is not only about announcements. You see that banner there. Banners are usually announcements. You know, back in the old days when they made announcements, they put banners out, right? So there again, we have this aspect of perhaps a baby coming in, a brand new baby, a birth, a pregnancy. But it also speaks to the idea of something brand spanking new and beginning. And it's it is the most positive card no matter what tarot deck you're reading with. Typically the answer is always a yes, okay, with this card. If you haven't received that yes yet, or you've gotten the answer and it's not as positive as you think it is, the reason why I say that is because of this Two of Swords in the center. Then what this is telling you is that it's trying to illuminate something for you. That's what the Sun does. The Sun illuminates and shows you things. It puts a spotlight on it so that you can see it in the glaring broad daylight, right? Completely different from this energy of the High Priestess who represents the Moon. Now, we know that we've just come out of a lunar eclipse, all right, on the 26th. And we know that there's another solar eclipse that is coming. I forget what date it is. Those of you who are on the website, those dates are already up. But these 3 cards are definitely speaking to that particular time frame, the solar eclipse. Now, you're also being prepared, not just you, fire signs, but everybody is being prepared for the nodes changing signs. They will be changing signs, I want to say in November. They will be going from Leo to Aquarius. We have the true North Node in Leo, true South Node in Aquarius. They will be switching signs, and they will be going to North Node Cancer, which represents the Moon, okay, and South Node Capricorn, which represents this card. So what we're looking at is a complete change. The South Node is where you've already put in your energy. It can speak to karmic debts being paid, but also karmic credits coming due for you. It is your comfort zone where you tend to expend most of your energy, and what you're being tasked to do is try to step into that North Node energy and step out of your comfort zone. So I do feel that for some of you, there's been some kind of either delay, because Saturn also represents limitations, constraints, restrictions, delays. We know that Mercury is in retrograde. Not only that, for some of you, that there may have been some kind of delay in something, but that at the same time you are really trying to dig deep and perhaps stand your ground, find your inner strength and willpower to move through this. Here is the High Priestess. The High Priestess represents a highly intelligent woman. She can be someone who is very studious. She knows a lot. She may not tell you everything that she knows. She's acutely aware, and her psychic abilities can be quite frightening. Okay, so this card is really about trusting your intuition. And I think for some of you, whatever this World card is representative of, it is the idea that you really are trying to maintain your balance, 2 twos, okay, in terms of trusting whatever it is that your intuition is telling you. Maybe you are, maybe you aren't. However, there's a holdup. Some of you have gotten some news and you're not sure what to think about the news, what to believe about the news. For some of you, you honestly ain't too excited about it, or you're trying to determine, because this is what judgment is. This is about discernment and judgment, having the wisdom to make the right decision. Some of you are rather hesitant to accept whatever this cup is. And the sun, eventually, if you're still waiting, the sun is going to come along and show you exactly whatever it is that you need to see to move this thing forward. The Four of Pentacles is speaking to the idea that if you're dealing with someone else, this is going to be somebody who is not going to be willing to share their time, their money, their property, their love, you know, their compassion or whatever. But this card could also be that idea of you holding on and conserving those things during this time period where you're not exactly sure what is the right thing to do. I will say that for some of you that this situation is up in the air. It could go either way, okay? But I also feel that in some respect, no matter how this turns out, you will eventually arrive at a decision. Now, I'm not going to say it's the right decision. You may feel at the moment when you make that decision that it's not, but always remember, there's never a mistake. It's always a learning experience. And I do feel for some of you, something is going to come to light. No matter how this is, it's going to help you, aid you in making that decision. That's what that Page of Wands. The Page of Wands is not only about news and messages coming in, but it's also the idea about to start a new spiritual journey. And the thing is that I think some of you realize that whatever situation you have found yourself in that has been stuck and challenging, you may be offered a way out and or a way through, and know that that way through, okay, or out, will begin you on a brand new cycle. So the first thing I'm going to do is now 2 twos speak to either being overly cautious about something, but it can also speak to the idea of a possible change of address, a home move. Now this change of address could also be you changing jobs, okay? Maybe you're changing jobs due to changing professional legalities. This is the Sagittarius. The Wheel of Fortune rules Sagittarius. Sagittarius is about the law, legalities, rules, and authority, as is the World card. It is about rules and accountability and authority. It is about as you sow, so shall you reap, being judged or judging. It is also the idea that this could be secular law. This could be spiritual law. We have these kind of karma cards here along with the World card, and I do look at that as a karma card. And so I think for many of you, you just may be challenged. Now, 2 twos mean a commitment and or an engagement. Definitely some kind of partnership, okay? I do feel for some of you this is about either a familial thing or a thing about children, even if you are a single mom or even a single dad. So let's pull, I want to look at what this, I'm going to look at the Seven of Wands, the Judgment, and the Two of Swords. Okay, those cards speak the most. The Seven of Wands, what has been a struggle? Now this card can be standing your ground, but it can also be the idea of somewhat being obstinate, not wanting to listen to what anybody has to say to you. Even though I'm telling you here with the High Priestess that you should trust your own intuition. Yeah, you can, but at the same time, if you're faced with the challenge and you may need to make a compromise, this is about listening to the intuition of how can I compromise within this situation. Alegria, pleasant time spent with family or friends. The Morte, a complete and utter separation from something. So something ending. And that's exactly what I said. But it's ending under a cloud of fog. There's some suspicion here. We're not exactly sure why. Maybe it ended the way that it ended. It can also be maybe somebody told us a lie, or maybe we are thinking that we are delusional ourselves. The Judgment. Well, that's kind of a simple fix. I say that. It's easier said than done. Either time's going to tell whether that person's lying to you, or maybe you're going to come to the realization that you aren't delusional. But even still, if this situation ends, and it looks like it's trying to end for some of you, and you're unsure about that and how you're going to do it, maybe your options are not as you would allow, as you would like. Maybe you're not in the best position, you're not in a bad position, but you're not in a really, you're not in the best position either. You're a-okay. Nevertheless, once the situation ends, guess what? It's done. Messaggere, there it is, the letter from far away. For some of you, this could be a child support or a child custody issue. The Consolante Sorpresa. So this is the comforting surprise. You know, it's a less than full success. It's a partial success. Okay, it's not exactly what I want, but, you know, I might be able to live with it. Some of you are unsure about that. Obviously, it says it's a gift, not unselfish. Now, I don't know if this is speaking to something that's been offered to you from a monetary standpoint, but it can also be the idea that whatever this news is, even if it's not the best, look at it like a gift. Because you can choose to whether you want to spend your energy in this time, in this kind of space or not, right? You have the choice. You can decide. We all have choices. That's why those of you who have gotten readings from me, when I tell you nothing is set in stone, everything is up in the air all the time. You know, you can think one way and then somebody will agree to it, and then suddenly they may change their mind. And that happens a lot under Mercury retrograde. People will backtrack. Mercante, the Three of Wands. This is about some kind of negotiation, or at least the idea of moving forward with some kind of plan, idea, project, even partnership. Amore, there's the love card. Now, for those of you who are website members and you know the asteroids, this is Cupid. And what does Cupid represent? Cupid represents a sudden passion. This could be for a place, a thing, and or a person. It's not deep love, but it is a hot, powerful, passionate attraction that comes on quite swiftly. Remember that Cupid's arrows do not wound deeply, okay? But also you got to remember he lied to Psyche. Go back, you guys, and read your asteroid ebook that I wrote for you, the Yardro. Now, this card speaks to a loss of or theft of goods or services. But as I say, people can steal all kinds of things from you. They don't have to come in and just take your personal possessions. They can take your trust, your time, your emotion, your self-esteem, your peace of mind, your energy. So I think that basically whatever you're dealing with, you, and this isn't going to be true for everybody. Again, this is general. But I do feel that you will be able to make the decision one way or the other. Now, the thing about the Wheel of Fortune is that even not making a decision, see all these people sitting around? Look, even not making a decision is a decision. And sometimes when you allow that to occur, it doesn't end up in the best for you. It'll end, and you'll have to be accepting of that. The Wheel of Fortune is all about, in terms of karma, the law of cause and effect. If shit ain't going your way, but you're sitting around waiting for changes, but it doesn't happen, cause and effect. Okay? But at the same time, you got to deal with other people's free will as well. It is neither punishment nor reward. It is simply the way that it is, how this turns out. However, you can always try to mitigate the damages as much as possible. So that's what I have for you, fire signs, Aries, Leo, and or Sagittarius. Again, if you'd like to gain more insight into your situation, come on over and take advantage of that special I've got running on over on the website. All right, so until next time, thanks for allowing me to read for you. Namaste.